What's up, guys? Welcome to episode 3 of the Moto Fitness Series. Switched up my background bike on you guys. This is my new bike, KTM 250 XCF. I am digging it. Never felt more comfortable on a bike in my life. I got this bike right before all the coronavirus shelter-in-place stuff happened, so I've only got to ride it a few times, and I cannot wait to put some more time in on it and get back to the race season and see what the future holds. So anyways, what I want to talk to you guys about today is kind of a segue off my first couple videos talking about body positioning and core stability and glute and leg strength. Those things are very important to this topic. So I want to talk to you guys about how to manage, how to progress when you're dealing with low back injury and back pain. This is a topic I have a ton of experience in because about 6 or 7 years ago, I ended up with a cumulative low back injury that resulted in having several bulging discs and a mild herniated disc. I ended up having to go through rigorous physical therapy for that to heal and to learn how to modify my exercise and my life in such a way to minimize aggravating that issue and allow my body to heal so I could get back to doing what I love. So I want to try and share some information with you guys to help you better understand the structures of your back and how to modify things in your life and movements and positions and posture in order to optimize the health and safety of your low back. Your spine is a sequence of stacked bones that are separated by intervertebral discs, which are like little shock absorbing cushions. You can think of them like being kind of like a little jelly donut with kind of a ligamentous outer ring, and the inside of those discs being this gel-like shock absorbing material. And what can happen over time, poor posture, poor body mechanics, poor body positioning on the bike, poor lifting mechanics can cause uneven pressure to be placed on that disc, and then over time, over days and days and weeks and months and years of moving in a certain way and sitting in a certain way, it can cause your disc to kind of migrate in a certain direction. That inner gel material can kind of be pushed backwards. Your disc can start to bulge out in the direction of your spinal cord and your nerves in the back of your spine. And when pressure is put on those nerves and contact is made, that is when things hit the fan and you start to feel radiating pain going down your legs, or radiating pain, dull, aching, constant pain in your low back. It makes it so you feel extremely stiff, makes it so anytime you get up first thing in the morning or you get up from sitting for a long time, you feel like you can't straighten out all the way at first. You're gonna feel very weak, like if you go to pick up your bike or do anything that involves lifting using your glutes and your low back, you're gonna feel very weak and like you can't quite control or do that motion, and it really throws a wrench into how you live your life. Your posture, especially when it comes to your sitting posture, has a huge impact on this, because over time, especially if you're not mindful of your posture and you're kind of slouching all day, that puts, if you think about your stacked bones in your back, that puts a lot of pressure on the front of your disc and causes those structures in the back of your spine to weaken and to be more prone to that disc bulging out from its normal happy place and starting to push on the nerves. So some things you can do throughout your day to minimize the amount of stress you're putting on your back. Number one, you gotta start working on your posture, especially your sitting posture. If you're sitting on the couch and your pelvis is rolled back and you're kind of sitting on your tailbone instead of your sit bones, and you got your feet kicked up in the recliner, you're just letting everything kind of sag like that, you are setting your back up for havoc, basically. So what you can do is you can get a pillow or you can get a lumbar roll like this, and anytime you're sitting at work for a long period of time, you're sitting on the couch, you're sitting in your car, number one, mindfully correct yourself and bring your chest up, open your shoulders, and try to sit right on your sit bones with your pelvis rocked up more into a more neutral position, And if you cannot mindfully keep that in control all day long, get a lumbar roll like this and put it right in the small of your back and use that so it can help keep you in that position without having to mindfully be aware of it all day long. Set yourself up for success with something like that. Number 2, in addition to being very mindful about your sitting posture, you have got to start being very mindful of your lifting posture and how you pick things up off the ground or from low positions all throughout your day, doing house chores, yard work, especially if you're dealing with an acute flare-up of low back pain. It is imperative that you do things in a way that does not aggravate or encourage that disc to further merge backwards into the nerves. You want to try to keep your back in a neutral position where that disc has even pressure on it from all sides. Try to get yourself to where you can be straight up and down with your pelvis in neutral, so there's a little curve in your low back here, and then you need to keep that curve there while you're bending and picking things up throughout your day. So whether it be hip hinging, using your legs to lower your body without bending your back and picking something up, or getting down into a lunge, and then you can even support your weight of your torso on your knee and still hinge forward, keeping your back straight to pick something up and then standing up. That is the type of motion you need to use when you're unloading the dishwasher or the laundry, or if you need to pull some weeds or whatever it may be, chores throughout your day. You've got to think about keeping that spine in neutral while you're doing those things. You sprain your ankle, you don't want to be going through the day rolling your ankle to the outside 150 times per day, because your ankle is never going to heal. In order to allow your back to heal and to minimize re-stressing those ligaments and re-stressing that disc, you need to keep your back braced and splinted in that neutral position so that the structures can heal. All right, in addition to trying to correct your sitting posture, keep your back in a more neutral position, and correcting your bending and lifting mechanics, something else that you can do, especially if you are dealing with an acute flare-up of low back pain, but even if you're not and you just want to do something to get off your butt and out of your chair a few times a day and do something that's good and healthy for your low back when it comes to your discs, what you can do is lay down on your belly with a couple pillows, propping your chest up, and here you can just relax. You can spend some time working on your laptop, your phone, read a book, whatever. And what we're doing here is we're taking gravity out of the equation so that you're no longer having that downward compressive force on your disc. And by propping yourself up like this, we're now bending your low back in the other way, putting some extension into your low back. And what that's gonna do is it's gonna help to put a little bit of pressure on the back side of that jelly donut disc and help to encourage that disc material to merge back into its happy place off the nerves. So if you can do this for, even if it's just 5 minutes at a time, a few times a day, instead of sitting, do something good for that disc and help to reduce pain. And there's other ways that you can kind of work on extension. When you're in a flare-up, it's gonna feel like you can hardly even lay on your belly because you're so stiff, but just even if all you can do to start with is lay on your belly with your head turned to the side, that's a great starting point to help encourage your disc to go back into its happy space. Then when that gets easy, prop up on your elbows and relax, or use the pillows. When that gets to a point where it's no longer painful and it's pretty easy, you can put your hands under your shoulders and you can try to press yourself up. Keep your pelvis in contact with the ground. Don't come up like this. We're just trying to bend backwards. And trust me, when you're in a flare-up, you're not going to be able to do this. So use one of the first 2 methods, but once it starts to ease up and you start to come out of that flare-up, work on restoring that range of motion and that extension to your back. Just doing like 10 reps multiple times throughout your day can really help to change the pressures that you're putting on your disc in a beneficial direction to get it off the nerves. And that's what we want. That's what's going to help reduce your pain. And then that, in combination with really working on your posture and your body mechanics, is going to help to instill better position and movement habits within you to prevent re-injury and help to reduce your pain and all that good stuff. So those are some tips and tricks regarding your daily activities. All right, guys, so now that you understand kind of what positions are more beneficial, more harmful, where that low back pain comes from, and what is going on structurally, now if you return to episodes 1 and 2 and watch those workouts and what I'm talking about in terms of body positioning, that should all make very much sense as it relates to protecting the health of your low back and preventing injury, because we're strengthening around that neutral spine position. So what I want to go into now is just a little bit more detail on how to properly engage your core so that you know that you're supporting yourself in the right way. Core strength is only beneficial if you know how to use it in a way that involves the deeper core muscles that wrap around and provide support to your low back. So there's a number of core muscles going on besides your front six-pack muscle. So you've got that on a more superficial level, then you've got your layers of obliques that run in kind of more diagonal directions, but on the deepest level, you've got your transverse abdominis, which is a muscle that wraps around in a circular fashion, almost like a back brace would. And if we can learn how to properly engage that muscle, that's the one that's going to provide the most support to your low back, and that's what we want to try to mentally focus on when you're doing all these exercises. So what I want you to do, you can practice this standing, you can practice it while you're in a plank position. I'm kneeling just for viewer's sake. You can take a deep breath into your belly and then squeeze the air out using your core muscles. So it's going to look like this. So I'm keeping my back in that neutral position, but I'm using my core muscles to squeeze every ounce of air out of my body, and then hold those muscles tight and see if you can breathe while you're holding those muscles tight. So it should feel like the muscles that wrap around your lower core are just stiffened and on. And if you feel like you kind of lose your connection to those muscles, that's okay. Just take another deep breath in. Exhale hard and squeeze those muscles, and then find what that feels like and hold. So squeezing your glutes and your quads, straight line, deep breath in. Squeeze that air out. Keep that belly button braced up towards your spine. And now in this position, you can either hold the plank, you can do all of those plank variations with the legs, with the arms. Do plank up downs. You can do dumbbell plank pull-throughs. You can do like alternating arm lifts out to the sides with or without weight. You can also take that idea and get down on your back. Brace your core, so where if you poke your fingers on the inside of your hip bones, it's like your belly muscles are creating a wall almost. You can hold that tight, and then you can hold your legs up and just do some holds here. You can alternate heel taps, or you can alternate straightening your legs, keeping things very tight and stable here. You can bring your arms into it, do some alternating arm and leg extensions or dead bugs. And most importantly, when you're on the bike and you get into that hip hinge position, bracing your core here. Those are just some ideas for exercises and things you can do, and as long as you're, avoiding the harsh sit-up motions and working more in a plank type position, you can do all kinds of variations as long as you're really intentional and mindful about how you brace your belly muscles. So I hope that was helpful. Let me know if you guys have any questions, and I'll see you in the next video.